Ardha Baddha Padmottanasana is one of those postures that many students struggle with. And it's not really a great surprise because not only does it involve a half lotus, it actually involves a half lotus well balanced on the one leg as well. So I just thought I'd share a few things that I offer to the students who come into class and who are maybe struggling with this one a little bit. So I thought maybe we'd just start from the ground up and see how we go. So as I've said, it's a one-legged balance. So you want to make sure that you're really firmly grounded down through whichever leg it is that you're going to be balancing on. So thinking about grounding down through the ball of the big toe, the ball of the little toe, the heel, making sure the toes are firmly planted on the mat as well, and fixing the gaze on something that's not moving. Now I notice a lot of students try and do this one with their leg really, really straight, even locked out or locked back. Now, by straightening the leg, by locking it out, what that does is it means that the leg and the body's not able to adapt so well in response to what the foot and the ankle are doing to keep you balanced. So in the beginning, while ultimately we want the leg straight, although not locked out, I encourage you to maybe think about bending that standing knee a little bit, and it just means that you've got a little bit more sway, if you like, before you lose your balance. Next thing I want to talk about is moving that leg into half lotus. And what can tend to happen is we know we want the foot up towards the navel here. And so what we do is we reach down, grab a hold of the foot or the ankle and draw that foot up. Now, a couple of things about that. The first is, I think it's maybe better to start off moving the leg with the leg rather than moving the leg with the hands. But also by doing that, there's a risk that the movement comes more from the knee than from the hip, and so it can create strain and maybe aggravate an injury or create an injury there in the knee. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is when you find your balance, your gaze is steady, bend the knee, lift the knee and flex the knee as much as you can. So closing that knee joint as much as you can before going in with the hands. Okay, that in itself is pretty hard if you're struggling to balance on one leg. Then we're going to reach down and try and come in behind the ankle and behind the foot. And as you draw that heel up towards the navel, try and keep the knee high. Don't let it flop down. Keep the knee high to keep the strain out of the knee. Ask the work of the hip there. Now you're aiming to get the heel up towards the centre line, the side of the foot into this groove here at the top of that thigh. Now that's pretty tough going as well, and what can tend to happen is the foot doesn't quite get to the top of the thigh. You get to here and then when you let go, it just slides off. So the next thing, another suggestion just to help you along the way, is that after bringing the knee up and reaching down and catching the foot, bend that knee, the standing knee a little bit, and send the hips back. So it's almost like you're going into a forward fold. And what that does is it brings the thigh into position. If you bend the knee enough and send the hips far enough back, that actually you can rest the foot there on the leg, and it means you've got both hands to help with whatever else it is that you're doing here. Okay, so we've got the firm foundation. We're looking at how we're drawing the leg in. Now, what tends to happen is we know the shape of the posture that we want to make, and it appears that by reaching down and hauling the foot in, you can see the position of my leg there. It looks like it's in the right position, but I can tell you it actually feels a bit uncomfortable on my knee already. So by doing it the way I'm suggesting, by drawing the knee in, then reaching down, maybe bending that standing knee, sending the hips back a little bit, you can see actually that my knee and my thigh are in a different position relative to the hip. And that's because I'm asking some of the work to be done in the hip, and my hip doesn't quite have that range of motion there to offer me that just now. So you can see the difference. The knee was straight down before, so it appeared correct, but this is a much better position. My knee feels totally fine here. I'm supporting the foot on that thigh. I've still got it with my right hand there. And I'm beginning to work into the outer hip here on the bent leg side. So from that point, there's a couple of ways to go. Ultimately, we want to fold forward. So we need to work on the bind. So drawing the knee up, getting that heel in, bending the knee and sending the hips back to allow that foot to rest there. And what that means is you've now got the freedom to reach from that shoulder, wrap the arm around, and possibly catch the big toes, okay? If that's not available to you yet, what you can do is get the fingertips hooked over the knuckle of the big toe there and catch the thumb. So I'll show you here from the side as well, if I can just shuffle around without coming out. And you can see that my other hand is helping me create a bind. Now, the second thing that you can do if you're pretty close is actually start to fold forward. So let me see, maybe go this way. Bringing the knee up, drawing the foot in, bending that knee and sending the hips back, helping. And you can notice that in bending the knee and sending the hips back, it's actually bringing me into a bit of a forward fold anyway. I'm reaching round, I can't quite reach. I can start to fold forward. It might be that I need this other hand down to help me balance. And if I still can't quite reach it, then I can turn my torso towards the bent leg and see if that helps me get the toe and folding forward from there. Couple of wee things. It helps if you flex the big toe. So by flexing the big toe, I mean drawing that big toe back just to give you a little bit of something to hold on at the knuckle there. Now just following that through, we will go back if you can't manage any of these stages. Following that through, if you manage to bind and you manage to fold forward, then you need to be a little bit careful what happens with the hips and with the pelvis there as you begin to straighten the leg. So bringing the foot in, taking the bind and folding forward. What can tend to happen is as you fold forward, that knee and that hip swings away back. So I'm almost thinking about drawing that sit bone under and lightly drawing that thigh in towards my chest. And you can see as I do that, it changes the position and actually it draws my torso in closer to the leg as well. I'm trying to straighten this knee and then bring the forehead in towards the shin. Okay, coming out, inhale to lift the head. Exhale, soften the standing knee now, nice and slowly. Make sure you're working with the breath. Coming all the way up to standing. And exhale there. So that's us kind of walked through it. Now, what if you can't get the foot to the top of the thigh? What if the outer hip there is still so stiff and tight, you can't even entertain getting the foot anywhere near the top of the thigh or the navel? Well, there's a couple of things that you can work on, and one really effective one is standing ankle to knee posture. And I suggest you use a block for this as well to reach down. And what you're doing is it's the same action. You're lifting the leg, but this time you're going to bend the standing knee and it's like you're crossing the legs, just resting the ankle on the soft fleshy part of the thigh there above the knee. Starting to fold forward, you can use the block for balance. If you've got a little bit more mobility, You can even take the block onto its side or taking it flat. And what we're looking to do here is work on the outer hip muscles here of the bent leg. So creating a little bit of space, a little bit of heat, and a lovely passive stretch here. And it can help to keep that standing knee bent to rest the ankle on. You'll find that if you straighten it too much, the leg just wants to slip off. So after a few breaths here, in this passive stretch, you can even think about giving yourself an active stretch. So now that the muscles around that outer hip are a little bit lengthened, they're in a stretched position, what we can do is work to activate them again. So maybe bringing the hand or the elbow around that knee, and you can press the knee into the arm as you're drawing that arm back up, and it's asking those muscles to activate in that lengthened state. Coming back up, muscles of the outer hip, nice and warm, because actually it's not just the bent leg hip that we're working, standing leg hip we're working as well. It's having to work really hard to stabilize you there and balance you in that position. Once you've done that, then trying to work with the full posture. Hopefully getting the foot a little bit further up. If you're not quite there, remember bending that knee, drawing the foot in as close as you can, getting that support there to allow the hip to relax a little bit so we're not creating additional tension. And you can reach around then and catch the elbow. So you can see, hopefully, that I'm in quite a different position. The knee's bent, the foot's resting, and that knee's actually a little bit forward because I'm relying on the action, the movement to come more from the hip. Then if I straighten the leg and just let that leg collapse, then it's more strain in the knee, and actually you can see my ankle's a little bit compromised there as well. So that's just a few things that might help you with Ardha Baddha Padmottanasana. Now, as always, if anything's not clear or you have any questions about your own practice, please do get in touch and I'll do my very best to help. Thank you.